eyes. It's like I can't walk on the ceiling. Oh yeah, got me dreaming, dreaming in colors I never dreamed in. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome to Radical Truth, the Power of Aggressive News Show with Les BS3. I am your host, Marlon, along with Theus, along with the last second, Anna Hart. I mean, Anna came in on the last beat.
I slid into home plate. I hugged my nephew in my way in, so I'm good.
All right,
She's an artist.
She, that's dedication, folks. That's dedication. It was like,
She's got everything she needs. She's an artist. She don't look bad.
all righty. As you can see from the title, we're going to talk about, and for the life of me, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the second federal indictment of Trump, the first one being the documents. Is that correct? That's
Documents in January. Yeah, right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're going to look
Two-state, two-fed.
We're going to look at the second federal indictment of Trump pertaining to January 6th. We have broken it down. It's 10 videos total. One is going to be pretty long because I literally could not find a way to breaking that one up because it just had so much information in it that I didn't want to break it up. We discuss it, we forget what we was talking about, and then we go back in. So let's just go ahead and break that down. If you are new to this show, please go ahead and hit that like button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. We did phenomenal numbers last night. I mean, better than expected, and I appreciate everybody. So please go ahead and hit that like button. I would truly appreciate it. Also, let me say this too. If you're even looking at the replay, please hit that like button too, and please comment as well. The same reason why I say the more likes and the more comments that we have on the show, the more the algorithm will push it out to other people that we're live. Well, the same thing pertains to when you're watching the replay as well. It would just the algorithm will push our replay out to more people to watch. And apparently that's what happened last night, because I haven't checked the numbers, but we had, the last I checked was 76 people was at one time or another watching either the live show or the replay, one or the other, with
Wow.
13 likes.
Awesome.
So
That's-
let's keep it
that's
going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. If you're
That's
new
very
here, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, because those numbers are up there as well. I would truly appreciate it. Let's see who's already out there so we can go ahead and get started. Hello, Tracy. How are you?
Hello.
Hey,
Fuck
Parker.
up.
Fuck up.
Mickey, thank you again, Mom. I had no idea what Sunday side. All the times I've lost in life, missing my mind the most.
Mm.
Hey,
I-
Mickey.
Hello, Mickey and Parker. The first one was related to Stormy Daniels, so I think the January 6th one was the third indictment.
Well,
It was
federal.
close.
Stormy Daniels was in New York State
Yeah, that's a state one. So right now,
indictment.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
the Stormy Daniels was a state. This is the two federal ones. So far, we've only had two federal ones, and
So far.
two state ones, which could possibly be a third
Okay.
state one soon. If there's another federal one, I have no idea what it possibly could be, but I wouldn't put anything against Trump to find a way. So
I doubt it would be a third one unless Jack shifts into like the documents case in wherever Bedminster is, New Jersey. Like
Mhm.
that could do it. But
I don't think they.
I think they
he would
kind of
make a.
got him on the federals.
Yeah, I don't think he would. I don't think he would actually make a new. I would think he would make a new case for it, just not a new indictment for it. I think he would just add on to.
I don't know, because it'd be a different venue, right? So, because you have to be tried in your jurisdiction, even though it's federal, which is kind of goofy. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I guess we might find out. Trump is making all kinds of history.
Man, let me go, because you ain't
Trump
never.
is messy.
You
We were
ain't-
talking about messy yesterday. Trump is messy.
Let's get this party started. Let's go ahead and just jump into it real quick. Here are the co-conspirators, at the very least, who we think the co-conspirators are. But honestly, I think the guy's right. By the way, all of this information is from Legal Ego. He's an attorney in, I think he's in Washington now. I think he started in New York.
Is he? I thought he was a California guy.
I thought he moved.
Maybe he just seems like a California guy.
Yeah, he cool.
He got that Ryan Reynolds look.
But he always, I love when he does the TV shows though, because How to Get Away with Murder, the first episode that he did, he lost his mind on that. But that's neither here nor there. But that was always my favorite. So here he is, breaking down who he think the co-conspirators are.
Jack Smith lays out a story that is as yet unproven in court, but is the most comprehensive look at the conspiracy to overturn and subvert the 2020 election to date. Now, this story takes place in 2 months between November 14th, 2020 and Joe Biden's swearing-in ceremony on January 20th, 2021. The indictment says that the conspiracy started 11 days after the general election. Now, during that time, we got the worst gang of criminals to work with Donald Trump since Harry and Marv in Home Alone 2. This cast of characters is enumerated in paragraph 8, starting with co-conspirator 1, an attorney who was willing to spread knowingly false claims and pursue strategies that defendants' 2020 re-election campaign attorneys would not. You guessed it, give it up for America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Co-conspirator 2, an attorney who devised and attempted to implement a strategy to leverage the vice president's ceremonial role, overseeing the certification proceeding to obstruct the certification of the presidential election. That is top Republican legal mind, John Eastman. Co-conspirator 3, an attorney whose unfounded claims of election fraud the defendant privately acknowledged to others sounded crazy. Nonetheless, the defendant embraced and publicly amplified co-conspirator 3's disinformation. You know her from shipwrecks of old. Give it up for Sidney the Kraken Powell. Then there's co-conspirator 4, a Justice Department official who worked on civil matters and who, with the defendant, attempted to use the Justice Department to open sham election crime investigations and influence state legislatures with knowingly false claims of election fraud. He was a lawyer in the Environment and Natural Resources Division until Trump offered to make him acting attorney general. Yes, this is Assistant Attorney General Jeffrey, we'll call you when there's an oil spill, Clark. Then there's co-conspirator 5, an attorney who assisted in devising and attempting to implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceedings. This is appellate lawyer and humorous name-haver Kenneth Cheesebro. Then there is finally co-conspirator 6, a political consultant who helped implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceeding. Co-conspirator 6 appears to be Boris Epshteyn, one of Trump's advisors, though this has yet to be confirmed. Epshteyn is best known for writing Trump's controversial Holocaust Remembrance Day speech, in which he omitted any mention of Jewish people. Yeah, this has not been a great day for the legal profession because all 6 of the co-conspirators may in fact be lawyers. These 6 co-conspirators could be indicted in the coming weeks or months, or they could be government witnesses. No one knows at the moment, and it may be up to them. But the bottom line is Trump worked with this cast of co-conspirators to subvert the Electoral Count Act and stop Congress from certifying the election.
Okay, I want to do that so we'll know who all the players are. Throughout the show, those names will come up again. All of them. In some kind of way, shape, or form. We should
Can I
not
toss out one honorable mention?
Yeah.
Have y'all not noticed that we have not heard the name Kellyanne Conway at any point in any of the alleged perpetrators, yet we know that she has spoken to the grand jury? Sounds like a cooperator to me, but okay.
Okay.
I have no argument with that. But that's yeah. Kelly done got
No Kayleigh McEnany, no, yeah. It's just like
they talked a lot of smack. And then they basically disappeared because wasn't Kelly on Fox for a minute?
Kelly was on Fox for a hot second. Her husband is all over the place on MSNBC. And I think they managed to stay married. I don't know. Did they? I don't think they got divorced. So it's really interesting.
I don't know.
She finally got quiet. He ain't shut up yet. And
I ain't that much into it. What's going on, LL? He says he's in DC. I thought he had moved. He was in California, and then he moved to DC.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I remember him being there. Okay, so.
Hey, sweetie.
And hello, LL. So those are our co-conspirators. So let's go ahead and get into what Jack Smith is alleging. And we're going to start off with the fake electors.
But the bottom line is Trump worked with this cast of co-conspirators to subvert the Electoral Count Act and stop Congress from certifying the election. The ECA governs the process of casting and counting electoral college votes for president and vice president, and the statute sets forth a timeline for states to appoint presidential elections in November and for electors to cast their votes in December, and describes the process that Congress should follow when it counts the state's electoral votes in January. These days, each state casts electoral votes based on their state's popular vote, and then sends their electoral votes along along with the state executive's certification that they were the state's legitimate electors, to Congress to be counted at an official proceeding. Now, the indictment says that Trump and his cronies organized, quote, fraudulent slates of electors in 7 targeted states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, attempting to mimic the procedure that the legitimate electors were supposed to follow under the Constitution and other federal and state laws. The conspirators caused these fake electors to, quote, meet on the day appointed by federal law on which legitimate electors were to gather and cast their votes, cast fraudulent votes for the defendant, and sign certificates falsely representing that they were legitimate electors. One day before Trump was indicted in D.C., 16 of these fraudulent electors were indicted in Michigan for participating in this scheme. And Trump also attempted to use the power and authority of the Justice Department to launch a sham criminal investigation into voter fraud that didn't occur. This apparently included sending a letter outlining false claims that the DOJ discovered massive election irregularities and recommending that these states call a special legislative session to determine, quote, who won the most legal votes and consider appointing a new slate of electors. Now,
so those are the videos you saw. If you can remember, was 3 years ago almost, of the people who were locked down and they was knocking on the door saying they were the electors and we're just running late and let us in. And the security was like, no, all the electors are in right now. Who are you? We're the new electors. We're supposed to be going over the votes again and to double check the votes, but we are the electors. Those are the fake electors who were instructed. And like I said, as we go along, we'll find out who instructed them to go in. Basically, and like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, basically go in and just change out the papers or change out the certificate. Is that what I'm kind of trying to understand?
Basically, by them trying to be fake electors, they were trying to create confusion. Because if they could create the confusion, then they would have to kick it back to the states. That was their whole game. So somewhere in the weird rules, they found something that might say that the state can pick their own electors. So they just picked an alternate one, which isn't a real process. And then they wanted Pence to then receive them at the time of the count and then say, oh my, this is confusing. We have we have 2 slates of electors. Send it back to the states and they let them fix it.
Wait a minute. Let me correct you on one thing. That what you just described was the third plan. There are several plans. I apologize. What you are describing is correct. It wasn't this though. This was the fake electors supposed to go in and change out the documents and give all the votes to Trump instead of saying it was Biden. What you are describing it's either the second or the third plan, and I got it on here. But yeah, what you're saying is absolutely correct. There is another plan, and it'll be shown tonight where they were supposed to go. You know what? Let's go ahead and send the fake stuff in. We know it's fake, but it'll be confusing when it gets up there. Somebody in Congress argues about it, and then there you go, Senate. And there goes the argument, and it blows up and everything else. Basically, if you're not understanding, just keep this part in mind. Both things are going on right now. Trump is either flat out trying to steal the election or at the basic level trying to delay. He's done it all his life when he goes to court.
Hey, like Trump said, he was just asking a question.
When one thing didn't work, it was quickly think of another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was delay and change plans on the fly.
The man can't ask questions no more. Free the homie Trump.
The Conway announced in March that they were divorced. Kellyanne Conway left Trump's administration in August 2020, where she served as senior counselor to the president. She lucked out leaving right before the election. Yeah, but she was still talking up for him though. And I
She
mean,
knew what was coming.
yeah, she was smart enough to get out from under it. And you'll find I am amazed at how smart. I don't want to give it away. So
These are
while
intelligent people now.
yeah, now these are fake. Now those are the fake electors, or those are what's going on in the state. So now let's come back to the White House because Trump is hitting it. Trump and his co-conspirators are alleged to be hitting this from all points of view. If one don't work, this is going to work. If that don't work, this is going to work. This is the 4-minute video. This is the long video where I told you I couldn't break it up because if I did, it wouldn't make sense at all. So it was just best just to grind through it and let's just play it and get it on out of our system. But while the fake electors, state level, are doing what they supposed to be doing, Trump, White House, federal level is working from their end. And this is what's been going on there.
Electors. Now, some of the most troubling allegations involve Jeffrey Clark, the environmental lawyer at the DOJ who Trump wanted to appoint as Attorney General in the waning weeks of his term. Clark met secretly with Trump on December 22nd, failing to inform his superiors of the meeting, which is, of course, DOJ protocol. Now, it's obvious why he didn't tell them. Trump and his allies allegedly tried to get acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen to sign a letter that made, quote, knowingly false claims of election fraud to officials in the targeted states through a formal letter under the acting Attorney General's signature, thus giving the defendants' lies the backing of the federal government and attempting to improperly influence the target states to replace legitimate Biden electors with defendants. Now, apparently Rosen wanted nothing to do with this, and on December 26th, he told Clark not to meet with Trump again without notice. Clark said the meeting was an accident and he would abide by Rosen's directive. But the next morning, he had a 3-minute phone call with Trump, and afterwards, Trump met with Rosen and the acting Deputy Attorney General and told them that he was considering replacing Rosen with Clark. Quote, people tell me Jeffrey Clark is great. I should put him in. When Rosen refused to say the election was corrupt, Trump told him to, quote, just say that the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. And of course, people are pointing to this quote as evidence that Trump actually knew that the election was not fraudulent. On December 28th, Clark circulated the letter Trump wanted Rosen to send. And it's important to note here how insane it is that Jeff Clark, who was still officially assigned to the environmental department, was suddenly running point on Trump's maneuvers with the DOJ. He was sending his boss, Jeff Rosen, the same letter that Rosen had already refused to sign. Clark proposed sending versions of this to battleground states that Biden won. And here's the claims made in that letter, which the government says are false. The Justice Department had, quote, identified significant concerns that may have impacted the outcome of the election in multiple states. The Justice Department believed that in Georgia and other states, 2 valid slates of electors had gathered at the proper location on December 14th, and that both sets of ballots had been transmitted to Congress. That is, co-conspirator 4, Jeff Clark's letter sought to advance the defendant's fraudulent elector plan by using the authority of the Justice Department to falsely present the fraudulent electors as a valid alternative to the legitimate electors. The Justice Department urged the state legislature to convene a special legislative session to create the opportunity to, among other things, choose the fraudulent electors over the legitimate electors. But Rosen rebuffed Clark again and told him not to engage with Trump. On New Year's Eve, Trump summoned Rosen and other DOJ lawyers and told them he might have to change leadership at the DOJ. Now, the Justice Department traditionally operates fairly independently from the White House. Presidents aren't supposed to order the Attorney General to make legal decisions, but here was Trump insisting that they send the letter. And on January 2nd, Clark continued his insubordination by asking his boss and others to sign the letter Trump wanted to send. He told them that Trump was considering firing Rosen and replacing him with Clark, but that he'd decline the job if Rosen would just cave and send the letter with false fraud allegations. On January 3rd, Clark revised the fraud letter, changing its language about concerns to a stronger false claim that, quote, as of today, there is evidence of significant irregularities that may have impacted the outcome of the election in multiple states. Now, that was apparently enough for Trump to give him the acting Attorney General job because the two met and Clark accepted the job. So Clark spent all day scheming with Trump and testing the limits of the new power. Now, apparently, quote, a deputy White House counsel tried to dissuade Clark from assuming the role of acting Attorney General. The deputy White House counsel reiterated to co-conspirator 4, Jeff Clark, that there had not been outcome-determinative fraud in the election, and that if the defendant remained in office nonetheless, there would be, quote, riots in every major city in the United States. Jeff Clark responded, quote, "Well, Deputy White House Counsel, that's why there's an Insurrection Act." Clark apparently then called his boss and told him that he was now the acting Attorney General. Rosen, quote, responded that he would not accept being fired by a subordinate and immediately scheduled a meeting with the defendant for that evening. But there was apparently a very strong push by the Justice Department attorneys to stop Trump and Clark from implicating the DOJ in overturning a valid election. In fact, Trump only gave up on his plan to install Clark as AG after, quote, he was told that it would result in mass resignations at the Justice Department and of his own White House counsel. Of course, mass resignations are not something that happen every day, and if the Justice Department lawyers resigned en masse, then it would probably have blown the whistle on what the conspirators were trying to do.
So it's all just a misunderstanding. Is Marlon frozen?
I'm not sure.
I think he is. I'm not seeing him blink.
Nothing. Yeah, he's gone.
Wow.
Nope, I'm here.
That was a deep state. That was a deep state.
That was the computer just totally just went down, just right in the middle of it. Like, okay. But luckily, I done seen the video like 700 times, so I know what was going on. So again, working from the White House, which is why I said yesterday. Remember, I was talking about the governor of Arizona was asked the question about should the DA do the same thing as Georgia when it came to election fraud, and the governor was like, "Yep, sure do." And I kept saying, "Don't do that," because the executive, the what you do, and the Department of whatever, anything that has to do with law enforcement needs to be a separate entity. Because of stuff that Trump does, Trump weaponized the Department of Justice in any way, shape, or form that he possibly can to get him to win. The Justice Department has absolutely nothing to do with votes. Nothing. I can't even say if Trump knew that or not. I don't think he actually cared. He just wanted to cause some kind of disturbance.
It seems like he mistook the Justice Department is supposed to be the lawyers for America, and he wanted them to be lawyers for him.
Well, that was his MO. Remember, he got the Justice Department to defend him against the rape allegation. So
Right.
to him, as the executive, so this goes into those people who think this is why civics is so important. This man doesn't know civics. He just knows power and control. So he says the president is the top of the government. Therefore, everything below that should report to him and should serve him. In his view, all the other presidents have been doing it wrong. So he's just doing it the way it's supposed to be, according, to how he would interpret it.
I like the fact that Clark went to Rosen and went, "Hey, I'm the boss now." Man, if you sit your, I wish I would get fired by somebody who's under me. How does that even look? How does that even look? I get fired by somebody who's under me.
What gets me is like that shows how. Okay, I'm trying not to say that part. Okay, so it's amazing how certain people get to fail forward. He is obviously not suited to any of the roles that he sits in, and he's not even respected by his peers. Like, yeah, he was an environmental attorney, but he was still an attorney in the federal government in a senior position. It wasn't like he was some guy off the street. And nobody respected this guy. They all knew he was a clown. He had no business in the place that he was in. So when they got ready to move him into the DA spot, he was like, "Oh, no, Attorney General spot, I mean. No, no, we're not going to respect that. We can't even try to pretend that this guy is the one."
Right.
But,
if
There's a cultural story behind this, folks, but I'm going to let that one ride.
please, at least till we get through at least 2 more of these. Okay, folks, that's all the boring stuff. I had just basically just think of it as background. And Susan and Tracy, I understand it.
It's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information because he's trying to create confusion from whichever freaking angle works. He doesn't care.
He's throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
Which is very intelligent. Because our system says if you want to get him on any of these things, you got to get him beyond a reasonable doubt. So that means he just has to confuse at least one person. And what I've seen of the general public as of the last 8 to 10 years, it ain't hard to confuse the general public. So hopefully the attorneys will get out there. They'll make it plain. They won't overcomplicate it. And they can get them on at least 75 of the charges. I don't know.
All right, so that's all the boring stuff out of the way.
Oh boy.
And I do mean that. I mean, I think we have one more boring one, but it's like so short. And the reason I say that's all the boring stuff out of the way because the next video, cracking herself. Miss Sydney done came back to Georgia.
Jeffrey Clark drafted a letter to Georgia saying, quote, "The Department of Justice is investigating various irregularities in the 2020 election for President of the United States. The department will update you as we're able on investigatory progress, but at this time we have identified significant concerns that may have impacted the outcome of the election in multiple states, including the state of Georgia." Now this was false. The DOJ plays no role in certifying the winner of the presidential election. State investigations and audits confirm that Biden won the state, and every court which considered the issue ruled against Trump. But the indictment has a whole section on Trump's efforts to overturn the Georgia election results. Now, this section of the indictment is pretty funny because it actually describes 2 different methods of attack Trump took, one with Sidney Powell and the other with Rudy Giuliani. Now, the Powell method only takes up 1 paragraph because her lawsuit was dismissed so quickly and obviously, but it has some great details. On November 16th, Trump's, quote, executive assistant sent Powell and others a document containing bullet points critical of a certain voting machine company, writing, see attached, please include as is or almost as is in lawsuit. Co-conspirator 3, Sidney Powell, responded 9 minutes later, writing, quote, it must go in all suits in Georgia and Pennsylvania immediately with a fraud claim that requires the entire election to be set aside in those states and machines impounded for non-partisan professional inspection. Now, I can only assume that this was a reply all given the abundance of all caps, but the indictment does not say. 9 days later, Powell filed a lawsuit, quote, against the governor of Georgia, falsely alleging massive election fraud accomplished through the voting machine company's election software and hardware. In the next chunk of the paragraph, we have a vindication of Trump's ability to actually assess legal issues. Quote, before the lawsuit was even filed, the defendant retweeted a post promoting it. The defendant did this despite the fact that when he had discussed co-conspirator 3's far-fetched public claims regarding the voting machine company in private with advisors, the defendant had conceded that they were unsupported and that co-conspirator 3 sounded, quote, crazy. Co-conspirator 3's Georgia lawsuit was dismissed on December 7th. It's actually kind of refreshing to hear Trump be right on the money for once. Sidney Powell is in fact crazy, but this may be a broken clock type situation.
Allegedly.
All of these,
because all this stuff is coming off of hearsay.
Well, we do have
until they lay it out. Until they lay it out in the court, it's all hearsay. Told you, I don't trust prosecutors. I don't trust the news. I don't trust none of these jokers because they always do this. And the more that they prosecute someone in public, the less I believe them. Because what happens is then they go and have to do it in the courtroom, and you start finding out, well, this person lied, this police report was false, this, that. You're like, good gracious. So allegedly, except for Sidney Powell, she is.
Crazy.
I'm not a medical professional, but she loony.
Is loony?
She's a different kind of cat.
Is loony a medical term?
No, because I'm not a medical practitioner. So I'm just saying I'm just saying. We playing Uno, but she playing checkers. It's a different type of thing going on with her. But hey, you can't hit her but so hard because she did pass the bar. She was smart enough to become an attorney. Okay, that's not an easy thing to do. I don't care what state you're in. So I think they all got starstruck and they were weak. And Trump is very good at playing on your weakness.
One of my friends who did pass the bar told me it actually wasn't that hard, and it was all centered around how do I protect rich, mainly men's property. Anyway.
I don't know. I mean, like, okay, I'm a test taker. I hold multiple licenses. I'd take a test and go get a license and then let it expire and go get the license again because I don't care about taking tests. I'm gifted when it comes to taking tests. Everybody ain't like that though. So if I tell you that a test is easy, then you got to take that with a grain of salt from me because I'm a good test taker. So your friend may be a good test not taste tester, test taker to take tests good.
Man, let's move on for the I knew if you keep saying that word over and over again, you was gonna mess up though. I was just waiting.
Thank you for believing in me, Marlon.
Look, if anyone were to tell you that in January of this year that we would have 4 Trump indictments by mid-August, would you believe them? No. I wouldn't have believed you on one. I'm being honest with you. Hey, welcome to America.
You can go back to former episodes where all of us say, no, we don't believe anything is going to be happening.
Yeah. We didn't believe none of this was going to happen.
I am writing a letter to the Attorney General. I said I would.
But see, here's the thing with that though. Like none of us believed it was going to come down the way it's coming, but we should have given it a little bit of pause because, and we did say some of us, I don't remember how many of us said it, but some of us said this when Garland finally put Smith in motion. See, everybody kept saying that Garland wasn't doing anything. He was, but the fact was Garland was doing a lot. He just wasn't doing it when we could see it. Because they had ran 1,000 people through the courts and won every case, right?
Yeah.
They were busy. But if they had tried to prosecute Trump off of he said this in public, Trump would have ate them up in the courtroom and went back and became the next president. So at least this way it's slower because they have to get it right. You cannot get this wrong going after Trump. Right. And history shows they may still get it wrong. But like I said, the feds are known for only taking on cases they can win. They don't like to swing and miss. But but they did miss Edwards. So there's still, they ain't perfect.
All right. If you're new and you're just coming in, please do not forget to hit that like button. I truly appreciate it. If you're watching the replay, again, please hit that like button and comment. If you're new and watching, come on in and comment too. We would love to hear from you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this boy Rudy here real quick. Along with what Trump was doing with Brad Raffensperger.
Yeah.
And what was going on with that? We're back in Georgia. I mean, well, we're still in Georgia, just a different place in Georgia.
But in the next paragraph, though, the DOJ goes on to the much more worrisome moves by Trump and Rudy Giuliani to pressure Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger into overturning the state's election results. Basically, Trump and Giuliani and Raffensperger go back and forth, with Raffensperger and other Georgia officials calmly and repeatedly telling Trump that there were neither dead nor illegitimate voters in large numbers in Georgia. Eventually, this defeatist attitude infected Trump's own team. Quote, as early as mid-November, for instance, the senior campaign advisor had informed Trump that his claims of a large number of dead voters in Georgia were untrue. With respect to the persistent false claim regarding State Farm Arena, on December 8th, the senior campaign advisor wrote in an email, when our research and campaign legal team can't back up any of the claims made by our elite strike force legal team, you can see why we're 0-32 in our cases. I'll obviously hustle to help on all fronts, but it's tough to own any of this when it's all just conspiracy beamed down from the mothership. Yes, believe it or not, the Trump camp did actually refer to this group of some of the worst lawyers who have ever practiced in America as the elite strike force.
Oh, and 34.
And at the end of the day, it was like 62-1.
Right.
2-1, and the one
And
that
it was
they
a
won,
technicality.
yeah, it was a technicality, and he still didn't get anything out of it. He still lost. It was something.
I forget.
You know, and I hate to say it like this. There comes a point where I think they went from the people working for Trump, his advisors, his attorneys. It was about the money at this point. It couldn't have been about
At this point.
Well, no,
It
because
was always about the
at a
money.
certain point it was about the power too.
Trump has always been about the power. Everybody around him is about the money. That's why they won't let go of it. Because their jobs are tied to it. Their ability to continue to take kickbacks is tied to it. Like, these people, we've been hearing for years that they know that Trump is a dumpster fire. But they dare not speak against him, not because of the base. They like to say because of the base, but it's because of what the base can do, right? And what the base can do is take your money. They won't give you contributions. You won't, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless everybody turns against Trump at the same time, whoever turns will immediately be outcast. And they made examples of people as they went along to make sure that everybody saw that. Always about the money here in America.
Susan said, any new people, please avoid uterus discussions. Yes, please. Please. I don't know what's going on with that lady, but yeah, can we move on from that? No, it was the Catholic satellite. Yep. Remember the Catholic satellite that
Beam.
The satellite was Jewish.
No, it was Catholic.
No, it was the Pope's, right?
Yeah, it was the Pope's.
The Jewish space laser was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's
Okay,
Marjorie.
no. There's two different things.
Yeah.
The Jewish space laser was the one that started the wildfires in California the year that she said it. The Catholic satellite is the one that was beaming boats down into the machines that's not even have an internet set up. So yeah,
They were changing.
you know, they was beaming up boats with Trump.
Which one was the dead guy in Venezuela?
That was Marjorie too. That was Marjorie.
That was Marjorie too. Oh, okay. All right.
There was bullshit coming from all angles.
But we're supposed to respect people for having differences of opinion, right? We're not supposed to, attack people for having opinions, right? And then you see where this leads us. You just let dumbassery flow, and then all of a sudden it piles up, and then we all slipping and sliding on it. It's just terrible.
I was never that person. I'm sorry. It's one thing to believe what you want to believe. And I'm going to go as far as religion on that. You can believe whatever you want to believe. Cool, whatever. No skin off my back, whatever. But when you go out of your way to just come up with some of the most stupid, idiotic stuff, not knowing, you know it's BS. You know it's BS when it came out of your mouth. But you're just
do they
talking
know
to
it?
your own base. And your own base will chew it up. So you come up with more and more stupid, idiotic, imbecilic crap.
But is it a lie if you believe it to be the truth?
It's still a lie.
The answer is yes.
I don't care if you believe it's the truth or not. It's still a lie. I don't care if you believe it.
Right.
It's still a lie. Do you think there's some people who truly did believe that there was a Jewish satellite that was beaming down lights into California wildlife to set the fires? Yes, they believed it. Is that still a lie? Yes. It's still a lie.
Or is it just yet unproven?
Area 51 crap out of here. That is Sydney. Oh, that was Sydney Powers with the Venezuela.
Okay.
Okay, Sydney Power came up with that crap. Camilla, hello, welcome. Trump lost in 2020 last year, but he's still a better option than Biden in 2024. The DNC is rigged in favor of the ultra wealthy. So come on, West and RFK won't get in.
Okay.
RFK.
So, okay, I heard pieces of this. Okay, because I can't read a little bit of tiny screen. All right, so it's still better than Biden. Trump is still better than Biden. Okay, the only way you could hold to that as a truth is if you think all of the charges against Trump are false. Because on any other merit, you got one person with felony charges judged, and one of which being judged by a jury for rape. And then the other guy is just an old corrupt asshole. Sorry, Joe, but you are. And so, but he's not done anything in the last. It's like I belong to people in the last 20 years. What has Biden done bad outside the realm of politics? Just being a bad person. What has he done? He ain't got nothing. But you can reach back to the 90s. I get you. And then I'm willing to engage in a debate on the merits of Trump versus Biden. I'm willing to engage on the merits of Democrat versus Republican versus independent, third, whatever the hell. I'm willing to engage in debate in all of those things because there's merits in those. But you lose me when you bring up RFK. I'm sorry. Like right there, is
that the Kennedy guy?
Yes. That's Bobby Kennedy's son.
The anti-Semitic.
The guy.
I think he said something racist too.
Oh.
He's just woo. But because people are anti-vaccine, that's when they first started attaching to this guy. But he's literally a plant for the Republican Party to dilute the Democratic vote using disaffected left-leaning voters. But whatever, it's still, the guy is like really out there in left field. His whole family done disowned him. He's got crackpot ideas. This guy is not a legit anything. It's just, that's where you'll lose me right there. When you do that one, or when you are debating the merits of Biden versus Trump and you bring up Hunter, that's when you lose me too. I'm like, the hell?
And here's what's so funny to me. Let me finish so we can move on. I try not to go on a rant because we still got a lot of videos. Y'all keep bringing up Hunter. I've already said from the beginning, when Hunter decides to run for president, y'all can bring up everything that he done in the past and y'all can tell me, no, he's not fit to be president. That's your prerogative, whatever. But y'all act like Trump kids is just like the creme de la creme of
How about the relationship that Kushner has with the Saudis?
But see, that's improper, but it's not illegal.
Ego.
I get you.
But my
All I
thing
gotta say
is,
is Trump. All I
that
gotta say
still
is Trump
involved the
Jr.
presidency, right, Anna? The
Yeah.
thing with the Saudis actually involved the presidents. If not for putting your children in the administration and having them negotiate deals while running your business, none of that could have happened. And then on the other side, well, Biden might have got on the phone and said hello and talked to people when Hunter was in a meeting. I'm not seeing the parallel.
No,
I'm
because
not.
because the partner came and said Biden came on and said hello. Never discuss business. Oh, that was your witness that you called. Oh, that wasn't the answer you wanted, was it? Damn. By the way, let's move on. Sorry for your damn luck. All right, I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to cut a couple of videos out because we got 10 minutes in there. So I'm going to get to some of the good stuff here. We can make fun of the Republicans and Trump and everything else, and I do so seldomly, and I love doing it. But you have to also remember that, again, these people are effing dangerous. They don't care about human lives. They don't care if you live or die. It ain't their problem. You are a pawn. They don't care. Here he is again, using pawns for his scheme, putting people in danger.
Of course, all this stuff is a little silly and easy to make fun of now, but at the time, Giuliani and Trump singled out and harassed individual election staffers. Quote, at the hearing before the Georgia House of Representatives Government Affairs Committee, Giuliani played the State Farm Arena video again and falsely claimed that it showed voter fraud right in front of people's eyes and was the tip of the iceberg. Then he cited 2 election workers by name, basically accusing them of quite obviously surreptitiously passing around USB ports as if they are vials of heroin or cocaine. These workers were Shane Moss and Ruby Freeman, who subsequently received numerous death threats. Shane Moss testified before the January 6th committee about what actually happened.
Mr. Giuliani accused you and your mother of passing some sort of USB drive to each other. What was your mom actually handing you on that video?
A ginger mint.
And in other testimony, Ruby Freeman described how unsafe Giuliani and Trump's actions made her feel in her own community.
Now I won't even introduce myself by my name anymore. I get nervous when I have to give my name for food orders. Around the week of January 6th, the FBI informed me that I needed to leave my home for safety.
Understood. How long did you stay out? Did you remain outside of your home?
I stayed away from my home for approximately 2 months.
And Trump continued to drag Freeman and Moss's names through the mud in his now infamous perfect call with Brad Raffensperger.
Having to do with Ruby Freeman, she's a vote scammer, a professional vote scammer and hustler.
And later in the call, Trump, of course, asked Raffensperger to find 11,780 votes for him.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Okay, let me say this real quick. Kamala, we could have that debate at a later date, because if we get into a debate, which, by the way, please come back at a later date when we have a looser show, Saturday Night Vibe every Saturday at 9 p.m. or Radical Truth to Power at 8 p.m. every Sunday. You're making some points. I would love to debate it with you, but if we start, we will be going into Sunday. You're new here, and we love debates, but our debates are like really deep and really long and really philosophical, and I don't want to miss that opportunity to do so. We just can't do it on this show because we'll be going way too long. Number 2, Trump, I have said on many of occasions, and I'll keep constantly saying it until something happens. Trump is a piece of shit. He's been like this for the longest time. He does not give a rat's ass about this country, humans of any kind, and I even say rich or poor. He do not care about you. He cares about what he can get from you. And once he gets what he needs from you, if you're not in any kind of way, shape, or form still allowed to get something for him and only him, he's done with you. So him throwing two people who had absolutely nothing to do with nothing under the bus so they could be threatened, i.e. unalived, just so you can lie your way to get being the president again, and everybody's up in an uproar, and I'm looking at you like, I'm not shocked. The man has no problem doing this. He literally no problem whatsoever doing what he does. He believes that he is right. Even if he don't believe that he's right, he's going to pretend to the end that he was right. I mean, that's it. Trump does not care. It just kills me to keep hearing people who defends this man, who gives their last dime to a billionaire and call it smart that he's not using his money, he's using the donations that people give him. I don't know what to say to this. I don't know what to say to you. Why I say I can't talk to you anymore? I can't. I just can't.
So I think it's important, like one of the points you just raised there, brother, is I think too much focus is on Trump as an individual. I really do, because a lot of these people who are supporting him, they're not truly supporting Trump. That's how it manifests, because that's how he gets these little soundbite arguments, right? But they're not really supporting Trump. They're opposing the other side. So no matter what argument you bring up, they have to stand on the other side of it, because it's just it's a team game at this point. It's a team sport. So you can push as much logic as you want towards these people, but they bought in. And even if they recognize the reality of the situation, they'll never be able to admit it to you, because why would they? What's the upside to them having gone this far, admitting the actual reasons that they support that man? Right? This is the same crew, the same type of people who would have told us 5 years ago that if you just obey the law, nothing bad will happen to you. These are the same people who derided those people on the left for saying defund the police, because the police were murdering people in the streets and falsifying evidence, falsifying reports, all documented. But they would say, can't defund the police. But the moment Trump says defund the FBI, defund the Department of Education, defund the tax authority, they all good with that. Because they don't actually follow the policy positions. It's all about opposing the other side. It's all about sticking it to the liberals, or the liberals sticking it to the conservatives. And so we end up in this mess. But the problem is that I like to point out, all this both sides bull that goes on, whose followers broke into Nancy Pelosi's house and attacked her husband? Whose followers was driving around in a van threatening to blow up Hillary Clinton? Whose followers went into the FBI field office and tried to attack federal law enforcement? Whose followers raised their hand when they went and they killed that lady over in Virginia? The violence is overwhelmingly coming from one side. When is the last time? Don't use the media I use the media you use. When's the last time Fox made a report about someone on the left leaking the identities and locations of jurors.
Sure.
You ain't got it. Best you got is there was a time when somebody threatened Supreme Court Justice whatever his name is, you know, the drinking guy.
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, thank you. That's the best you got. Best you got. And it was wrong. It was wrong for that to happen. But that's 1 point on one side of the scoreboard up against like 50 points on the other. And then you say, oh, Antifa. But you ain't heard nothing from nobody who's claimed Antifa since the police murdered somebody in the street. So it's use your media. Use your data point. Don't just go by what they're saying to you. Think about what they're not saying to you. That's the important part. Trump is playing with people. He is. But he's just a man. And if you get rid of Trump, they will shift and attach to a new one. Because what they're most concerned about is the perceived lack or loss of privilege. The same privilege that they've always denied having. But now they are scared and they want to protect it. This isn't my country no more. America ain't quite like it used to be. These are all terms of frustration saying that you're losing your privilege. And that's what you're upset about.
Hmm.
All right, I'm going to cut it short. We only have I'm going to shut it down to 3 videos. I'm going to skip the Michigan thing simply because it was so short. But I am going to go ahead and cut it off right here so we can take our break. To reboot and refresh, we will come back in on the other side with the remaining story about this. Also, am I the a-hole? A real or nah, which I'm literally gonna say nah. I just want to put that out there right now. It's nah.
Oh.
And sorry, but yeah. And a Foxy's videos of the week, 3-minute break to come back in really soon.
Living for weekends, wishing I could take a break from this world. Running on a hamster wheel, but searching for something I can't feel. I just wanna be a lost girl and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate above the ground and make eye contact with clouds. Now I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free, finally, I wanna be free.
back in for our second hour. I have no idea what this is, but let's go ahead and pay those bills. Please support Tracy at buymeacoffee.com. Help support Tracy in all of her endeavors. Please support Anna in all her endeavors by going to her website, borellietc.com. Learn something that you didn't think you need to know, but you should. And as always, you can reach me at radtp@outlook.com. That's radtp@outlook.com. I have got to get so used to literally only having to say 3 things.
And then when you get used to that, Theus will probably be ready with his project.
Yep.
And before you know it, your channel will be monetized.
Ooh, I hope. We picked up a subscriber during the show again.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let me check before I say that. It said I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We are 9 away from our first 300. 9 away from our first 300. We did pick up a subscriber during the show. Everybody, please keep up the good work. Again, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. I would truly appreciate it. Please comment during the show. What I'm discovering is at the same time, talk to each other. Have a discussion
in the live chat
while we're going through the show. I may not be able to say anything about it. Theus and Anna may not be able to say something about it because we're doing the show. But if y'all have a discussion, that's the same thing. Y'all talk amongst yourselves and everything else. You know my rule. I only have one rule. It's be respectful. I don't want to hear no, you stupid. You used to like that moron that made that comment. That's just stupid. What's stupid? Crickets. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and jump right back into it. So remember, Theus, what I was saying was, and you're muted if you actually want to say something back. Remember what I was saying was that plan that you were saying was actually there, and now that I've realized it's the second plan. What you was describing was their second plan, in which they was just going to say, hey, let's just go ahead and send it on in. We know it's lies, but it's just going to cause some chaos. Well, here's the second plan right here.
After trying to dupe state electoral officials, Trump and his merry gang, quote, developed a new plan to marshal individuals who would have served as the defendant's electors had he won the popular vote in 7 targeted states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and cause those individuals to make and send to the vice president and Congress false certifications that they were legitimate electors. Under the plan, the submission of these fraudulent slates would create a fake controversy at the certification proceeding and position the vice president presiding on January 6th as president of the Senate to supplant legitimate electors with the defendant's fake electors and certify the defendant as president. Paragraph 58 has a fun account of how this would have gone down, as recalled by an Arizona attorney invited to be a fake elector. The next day, on December 8th, Kenneth Chesebro called the Arizona attorney on Boris Epstein's list. In an email after the call, the Arizona attorney recounted his conversation with Chesebro as follows. I just talked to the gentleman who did that memo, Ken Chesebro. His idea is basically that all of us have our electors send in their votes, even though the votes aren't legal under federal law because they're not signed by the governor, so that members of Congress can fight about whether they should be counted on January 6th. They could potentially argue that they're not bound by the federal law because they're Congress and make the law, etc. Kind of wild/creative. I'm happy to discuss. My comment to him was that I guess there's no harm in it, legally at least, i.e. we would just be sending in fake electoral votes to Pence so that someone in Congress can make an objection when they start counting votes and start arguing that the fake votes should be counted. A couple little fun editorials by this attorney that I want to point out. First, he points out that the fake electors would be illegal under federal law. Then the lawyer pivots to conclude that the scheme would result in congressional debate that legally at least would do no harm. There's no harm in it legally at least is doing a lot of heavy lifting, like Schwarzenegger levels of lifting, like Joan Rivers levels of lifting. And secondly, wild/creative is probably how you want to describe an ugly drawing that your friend's kid made, not really a plan to overturn the presidential election. But if you encounter a legal theory that is wild/creative, you should probably travel expeditiously in the other direction. Now, the other people familiar with Trump's plan, namely his co-conspirators, absolutely refused to stand by it when push came to shove. Quote, on December 13th, the defendant asked the senior campaign advisor for an update on what was going on with the elector plan and directed him to put out a statement on electors. When the senior campaign advisor related those developments in text messages to the deputy campaign manager, a senior advisor to the defendant, and a campaign staffer, the deputy campaign manager responded, here's the thing, the way this is morphed, it's a crazy plan, so I don't know who wants to put their name on it. And it continues. The senior advisor wrote, certifying illegal votes. In turn, the participants in the group text message refused to have a statement regarding electors attributed to their names because none of them could stand by it.
So that was the plan that you was talking about. That just happened to be the second or third plan, but it's absolutely correct. They were going to go ahead and send the fake certificates in. They knew it was fake, whatever. Because at this point, and I'm trying not to, let the rabbit out of the hole, because at this point, they're pivoting towards another angle. So I'm trying to say this without letting the rabbit out of the bag. Cat out of the bag, whatever.
Where you get?
I don't know what.
Rabbit out of the hat.
Your metaphor.
Rabbit out of the hat.
Rabbit out of the hat.
Out of the
Cat
bag.
out of the bag.
Let the animal out of the object. I'm trying to do this without letting the animal out of the object.
Without
the point is
getting the egg out of the chicken.
Yeah.
Without getting the ostrich out of the hole. Without getting the
You're literally not helping at all. Absolutely.
Oh.
Done. They're pivoting towards. They're pivoting. I'm gonna ban both. Stop. Trump is pivoting towards a plan, a different plan, because he is depending on a different method, i.e., he's depending on a different person. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Mike Pence. Mike, I got a fly on my forehead and going to pretend it ain't there, Pence.
Now, the indictment also alleges that Trump put extreme pressure on Mike Pence, including putting a damper on what I can only assume was a very bland Christmas dinner. On Christmas Day, Pence called Trump to wish him a Merry Christmas, but Trump steered the conversation to the election, leading Pence to tell him, I don't think I have authority to change the outcome. And here the indictment cites to the vice president's contemporaneous notes to allege that Trump told Pence that the DOJ was finding major infractions. And that happened on December 29th, long after multiple DOJ officials told Trump that there was actually no fraud. On January 1st, 2021, Trump allegedly berated Pence for refusing to go along with his proposal. In response, the defendant told the vice president, "You're too honest." Then on January 4th, Trump met with Pence, one of the co-conspirators, the vice president's chief of staff, and the vice president's counsel to convince Pence that he should reject Joe Biden's electoral votes or resend them back to the states. During the meeting, as reflected in the vice president's contemporaneous notes, the defendant made knowingly false claims of election fraud, including, bottom line, won every state by hundreds of thousands of votes, and we won every state. Side note, Mike Pence is now selling merch that says "too honest" to capitalize on this historic moment. Trump met with Pence again on January 5th to convince him to overturn the election, but when Pence refused, Trump, quote, grew frustrated and told the vice president that the defendant would have to publicly criticize him. But, quote, upon learning this, the vice president's chief of staff was concerned for the vice president's safety and alerted the head of the vice president's Secret Service detail. Later that day, Trump tweeted that, quote, the vice president and I are in total agreement that the vice president has the power to act. As an aside, this is probably important because it shows that Trump wasn't just lying about whether he believed he won the election. As far as we know, Pence never agreed with Trump that the vice president had the legal authority to do what Trump wanted him to do. And the indictment says that Trump lied about Pence's intentions, which theoretically moved the conspiracy forward. And on January 6th, Trump tweeted about Pence repeatedly. Staffers from Senator Ron Johnson's office sent the fraudulent certificates to Pence's office, but a Pence staffer refused to accept them. The indictment says Trump exploited the violence at the Capitol to pressure Pence. When staffers left him alone in the dining room, he tweeted that, quote, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country. And just 1 minute later, the Secret Service had to evacuate the vice president to a secure location. They took Pence to a place where he could never be found, presumably a room with a woman in it. But, quote, upon learning this, the vice president's chief of staff was concerned for the vice president's safety and alerted the head of the vice president's Secret Service detail. While Mike Pence was hiding from writers, Trump took this opportunity to pressure lawmakers into delaying the certification, and Trump had Giuliani call 5 senators and a representative. In one of the calls, co-conspirator 1 left a voicemail intended for a United States senator that said, "We need you, our Republican friends, to try to just slow it down so we can get these legislatures to get more information to you. And I know they're reconvening at 8 tonight, but the only strategy we can follow is to object to numerous states and raise issues so that we get ourselves into tomorrow, ideally until the end of tomorrow." And later that night, Giuliani claimed that illegal immigrants had voted in substantial numbers in Arizona and that Georgia gave you a number in which 65,000 people who were underage voted. Now, Trump's
Why he had to take that shot at Joan Rivers? She dead. Leave that woman alone.
I didn't get it. I got the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, but the Joan
Because
Rivers.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is known for lifting a lot of weight, and Joan Rivers is known for having a lot of facelifts.
Facelifts.
Wow,
Yeah, that was a cheap shot.
that was a low shot. Anywho, and it wasn't a good joke.
And then did y'all notice? Okay, if you look at Mike Pence, he screams mayonnaise, right? He talks bland, he looks bland, he is bland, he's just bland. Then he gets a shirt that says "Too Honest," and it looks bland.
Yeah,
Come
really,
on, dude. It looks so sad. And then the other thing, this is just for y'all out there. I'm not advocating you commit crimes. Don't do crimes. Crimes is wrong, with some exceptions. Crime is wrong. But if you find yourself about to do crime, I don't think you should get the honest person to do it with you. The only reason you get an honest person to do crime with you is so you can hang it on them later. Only reason.
the plan was to see. I don't want to put.
But don't do crime.
I'm really not trying to put words in your mouth at all. But the American, but just Trump's thought process. He didn't think Pence was gonna. He thought Pence was just gonna flat out go for it. Trump knows who honest people are, but you got to remember, he's Trump. Trump can make an honest person do something wrong. So
Pence
really
was asking everyone that he came across, "Is this legal? Can I do
that right there?"
He was he wanted a different answer, so he would go
He was
to
trying
the
to
next
get covered.
person.
Yep, he was just trying to get somebody to give him permission. He
Yeah.
wanted to do it.
He wanted
He just
it.
couldn't find a way to cover himself and do it.
And that's what Mickey said was, stop giving Pence credit. He planned to go along with Trump's crime. Only at the last minute spoke with someone, Quayle, she thinks, who told him that Dan Quayle.
Really?
Yeah, it was Dan Quayle.
I know it really was.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went way back. Who told him that
Because Dan Quayle was a former vice president. There's not a lot for him to choose from on the Republican side of the table.
Okay.
The last Republican vice president is dead. So
Sure.
Got a point there. Yeah.
That's a daughter.
They are so dumb.
you know she ain't gonna help you. Not right now, she's not.
No, not anymore. I don't know, he might have. Anyway.
All right, here's the last video, and we are done with this because I already got because Susan about to turn me into, I guess, animal control.
Yep.
Okay.
The
So
the RSPCA or ASPCA.
yeah, she was finna turn me in because now I'm letting horses out of the barn and all this other stuff. But anyway,
That's what I laughed at, Theus. I tried so hard not to laugh while you were talking. I'm very sorry.
but here's the last argument that was happening, and I even did question it itself because I somebody brought it up in an episode before, and Theus was, I guess he was making a joke about it, but he's heard the argument before, but it's kind of has a point to it. Is it really a lie, even if you know it? Well, let me rephrase it. Is it really a lie if you truly believe it's not a lie? Like you really believe this is not a lie. So anything that I do after the lie, I didn't do it for the simple fact of because I'm lying and I'm trying to convert. I really believe what I believe in. So that was
still a lie.
That yeah, I know, but there's the issue. But there's
I
the
really
issue.
believe the oceans are green.
But that's what I'm saying. There's the issue when it comes to law. Did Trump really truly believe everything that he was saying? That he really truly believed it? So wait a minute before you answer, so we can get it on.
I thought the January 6th
I know. Well, we're gonna go ahead and answer that question. Trump's state of mind about the whole thing.
Reporters insist that Trump really believed the election was stolen, and we covered the implications of Trump's mental state in the prior video that we did on this. And while I suppose anything is possible, it's hard to believe when he was being rebuffed so strongly by the Justice Department and so many other people at the same time. Especially because lawyers and advisors kept telling Trump that he lost. One deputy White House counsel apparently said, quote, "There is no world, there is no option in which you do not leave the White House on January 20th. And it is alleged that Trump acknowledged privately that he lost. For example, after the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff urged Trump to not take action on a national security issue, Trump agreed, saying, quote, "Yeah, you're right, it's too late for us, we're going to give that to the next guy." That was on January 3rd, just 3 days before the Trump-inspired voters came to the Capitol and interrupted the certification. And the New York Times reports that the special counsel had access to a previously unseen internal memo from the 2020 Trump campaign describing in detail the plot by Donald Trump and his lawyers to subvert the election results in 6 states. The memo was written by Ken Cheeseborough, and it describes a 3-pronged plan to prevent Congress from certifying Joe Biden's victory on January 6, 2020. The memo was sent to a Wisconsin lawyer, James R. Trupus, the lead attorney for the Trump campaign in Wisconsin, who oversaw the fake elector scheme in his state. Quote, "Trupus filed a lawsuit in December 2020 asking the Wisconsin Supreme Court to throw out hundreds of thousands of absentee ballots, saying they violated voting requirements. The court ultimately rejected the lawsuit." Now, Cheeseborough wrote to Trupus saying, quote, "It seems feasible the Trump campaign could subvert Biden's victory. His plan would, quote, force the members of Congress, the media, and the American people to focus on the substantive evidence of illegal election and counting activities in the 6 contested states, provided 3 things happen." And according to Cheeseborough's plan, quote, "Republican electors in all 6 states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, would meet and cast votes for Trump on the 14th of December, 2020, the deadline for electors to send their votes to Congress for certification in January. Attorneys in each of the 6 states would simultaneously file lawsuits that would lead to either a Trump victory or a Biden loss, which would be pending on the 6th of January, the certification date. And then finally, on the day the Congress meets to certify the electors' votes, quote, Pence, presiding over the joint session, takes the position that it is his constitutional power and duty alone as president of the Senate to both open and count the votes, and that anything in the Electoral Count Act to the contrary is unconstitutional."
Okay,
So
it's one part of that thing that just bugs me. The thing is, I promise you, I would give you the floor for.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
One part that irked the crap out of me that didn't make any sense. I don't even know what led up to it, but it was the line where everything he was doing to lead up to a Trump win or a Biden loss. Is that not the same effing thing?
Nope.
No.
Really? Explain that to me, because I'm confused.
See, if Trump loses, it's over.
Yes.
If Biden lose if okay, Trump victory or Biden loss. So Trump victory, he's president, we're good. Coup was successful. A Biden loss could still be contested, but at least buys time.
Question. Yeah.
So
Oh,
one is done, the other one has a process behind it, but it still breathes life into what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Go ahead, Thea.
Now, I was just going to say, because the other side loves to talk about this two-tiered system thing. And it is. There's a two-tier, it's a multi-tiered system because
Yeah.
America is a caste system, right? It has a
Okay.
caste system for economics and it has a caste system on the basis of ethnicity. Both, right? And then they overlap in certain ways, right?
Yeah.
But you look at what Trump is dealing with, the whole thing they're trying to do, like you were talking about, is it a lie if you truly believe it, blah, blah, blah. It's still a lie, but now we have to determine intent. Now, for poor people, regardless of color, there's a little bit of an edge given to you if you're a white man. No, not a white man. If you're a white woman, there's an edge given to you, regardless of your class in the legal system. But overall, if you don't have money and connection, nobody's really going to spend that much time trying to prove your intent. See, for poor people, ignorance is no excuse under the law. But for wealthy, connected people, well, we got to make sure we can prove intent. We got to prove that he knew what he was doing was a violation of the law. Not just improper, but against the law. They wouldn't do that for any regular person. But for someone like a Trump or a senior executive, now we got to nail down intent. And the biggest reason for that, believe it or not, is because it all comes down to the strength of your lawyer. See, regular people can't afford the type of lawyers that will tie up a criminal system the way a wealthy person can.
Right.
So they're very careful with a Trump and something like that because he has the ability to have the best legal minds around him in a way. And they will find every inch, every crack, every cranny to cause chaos in a case. But for that 18, 19, 20-year-old person who doesn't have a whole lot, doesn't have a lot of connections, whatever we say goes. It's but that's what I wanted to say about that. And that's all I had to say about that.
Thank you, Forrest. So the last thing I want to say about Trump, literally the last thing, Trump, really, dude. And in case anybody don't know what I'm saying, because I'm not giving that much context to it, Trump filed for his date that he wanted for the document case to go, and it was April of 2026.
All you can do is ask.
No harm in asking, right?
It's up to you to say no. First, I said do it after the election. You said no. Okay. Well, how about 2026? If you say no to that, how about never?
Shutting it up now. We're not going there. You can relax a little, Baller. Not really. Trump, though he's lost, he used this as a money grab, and he still is. He still is. I mean, Trump's two-pronged thing is power and how can I profit from it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
why the presidency was perfect for him.
Yeah. All right. That is it. Let's go ahead and relax, everybody. And I think Susan was saying she's shutting it down so I can relax.
She says, shutting up now.
Oh,
We are
she's
not
shutting up,
going there. You can relax a little more. Susan, blink twice if you're in trouble.
I'm saying, Susan, you've been cool on this show for a while, so I don't know. You actually been kind of lax, so I've been having no issue with you. So a comment for the engagement.
Thank you. See, it doesn't matter what you write. It just shows that people are active while we're live.
That's all I need. I told you.
Hmm?
You could be like Mickey's cat and just,
You
type
did.
across the board.
I saw that. I
Write
saw that.
gibberish. Hey, beggars
We'll
can't be.
take it.
Oh, beggars can't be Trump. Am I the a-hole? Full disclosure, I don't know if I played this story or not before.
Uh-oh.
If I have, suck it up and comment anyway. If I haven't, gone ahead and comment and you know what I'm saying, because it ain't you. I don't put so many of these videos together and everything. It's like we've seen it before. Yeah, I know. Pretend you haven't and just comment like you haven't. Just pretend like you ain't heard this. And wow, this is brand new, Marlon. But if it is happened to be brand new, go ahead and comment too. So
is it the Red House?
It ain't never gonna be the Red House ever again. Stalking my sister.
Me and my sister used to be close, but when I was 5 and she was 7, I got sick up until I was 15. Because I was sick, my parents often stopped her from doing normal things because of me. At first, I was okay with her doing kid stuff. But at one point, I got bitter and kind of guilt-tripped my parents and her to make her stay with me all the time. I did that up until I was 12. After that, I noticed that it was leading to a strain in our relationship and her hating me. I tried to get back on her good side because she was no longer enthusiastic to stay with me, like before when we would play games and she would sing and do things with me. I tried to convince my parents to make her do stuff with me because she would come back from school, then spend 5 to 7 hours with me, then go home. And that cycle would repeat itself. But my parents still insisted on it, and I thought that I was being brave, even though I would beg them to let her have a life. When I turned 15, I had surgery and I was doing better, but I was still dealing with some side effects from the drugs that I was taking, but that only lasted a year. At this point, my parents finally let my sister do things that she wanted to do. This was like midway through her junior year, but the damage was already done. She had stopped communicating with me and my parents entirely. Like, we'd sit down to dinner and she'd only say one word to my parents and then lock the door to her room. And she didn't even have any friends. My sister told that to my aunt, and my aunt told my parents because she was worried about my sister's mental health. My parents tried to do family therapy before she left for college, but she still doesn't communicate. She can literally spend a whole month without saying a single word to anyone. When she went to college, she cut off our parents and me. She changed her number and everything. Last year, after doing some research, I found her on Instagram. She seems much happier on Instagram. Then I found out which university she goes to and applied there. I want to rekindle our relationship now that she seems to be in a better mental space. Last semester, I contacted her through her university email and told her that we could meet for coffee. She ignored all of my emails. This year, I decided to be more direct, so I went to her student organization and told her hi. She ignored me, but her friends asked who I was, and I told them I was her sister, and they seemed surprised because she didn't mention me. She then told me that we could go to a cafe, and she chewed me out for picking this university, which she referred to as her safe place. I'm now feeling like I may have gone about this the wrong way, but at the same time, I just wanted us to be close again. Am I the bad guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with nah. Oh, there's another one of them asshole ones, huh?
And you knew it was before you even said that.
You just selfish. That's all. You just selfish. I'm not gonna say you an asshole. You just selfish. This is a emotionally damaged. I swear, everything they make it out there onto these dang chat board thingies, there's some cluster of families. They just Good gracious. Is it because Jerry Springer died? Is that why they just went online now? That's what's
No,
going on?
here's what I have. Here's what I have discovered. It is two pronged. One is the rarity of anything makes the news. However you want to put it, it puts the likes up, it puts the thumbs up, it puts the whatever it is to make it popular, everything. But let's just be realistic about it. If it's more traumatic and more damaging and more, out there type of situation, that's what gets the clicks. That's why
Drama sells.
Trauma sales.
Because it's the same reason that Ricky Lake and Jerry Springer and all the other ones, Maury Povich, they all do the same thing. Basically, this is an opportunity for people to go somewhere. In this case, it's the Reddit boards, but it's a place to go somewhere. And no matter how bad your life is, it ain't that person bad, right? It's like,
yeah.
And people, for some reason, that's what they are. Like when they are rubbernecking on the highway, they looking over there, it's like, ooh, glad it ain't me. Hope they okay. Because they just want to see somebody else doing worse than them. And that is a really horrible part of us as human beings. And it's way too prevalent.
Yeah. So when you go to Reddit, it's always votes. That's how they do it. Vote down or vote up. And voting down or vote up makes it extremely popular. Trust me, I have heard some comments. The one guy that I listened to, he actually puts the comments in after what people say. After each story, he reads the comments. And some of the comments, I think, you are lying your ass off, because it be some of the stupidest comments that don't make any sense. But if I get voted down enough, I'll become popular. And people will read me, and everything else is. Yeah. Mickey, I didn't understand that part too. Her sister would play with her for hours and then go home. I'm like, maybe she may go to her room or something, but anyway, my point. I'm sorry. Anna, it's on you.
You're at fault here. I'm not gonna go and say you're an a-hole, because you never learned how to make and keep boundaries. And you always depended on somebody else for your happiness, it seems. I feel really sorry for you, but that was no excuse. You should not have done your sister like that. That's all I would say.
There was a comment that was said after the story was read that you stole your sister's youth. So what's going to stop you from stealing your sister's adulthood?
Right.
I'm not going to call you. Hey man, let me finish. I'm not going to call you the a-hole. Who I'm going to call the a-hole is your parents. Your parents allowed this, but
They should have been insisting that their other child have as much of a normal life as possible.
But I am going to give you 1 out of 5 a-holes, maybe 2 out of 5 a-holes, because you did realize at one point in the story, you did say, I manipulated my parents to get her to play with me. Even if you didn't recognize it as a kid, you recognize it now.
When was that?
It was during the story.
It was at one point they were talking about, that was why the sister had to come home and play with her all the time, because the parents would make her come do that. because
Okay.
the child that was ill was like, she won't play with me. I feel so lonely. Blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, though, man. They're the kids. I mean,
The
like,
No, that's
kids,
what
the
I'm saying.
kids.
a
I'm
kid
not blaming
operates with
her
a
as a
child.
kid. I'm not blaming her as a kid,
Yeah, but
but
you're
I
saying
am
looking back
blaming
now
her.
that you're older.
Yeah, I'm blaming you now that you did know what was going on, and you're having this thing in your head like, but I just want us to be close, and it's just dawning on me like, I need you to step back a little bit and try to focus on what part of it were you close. Were you close because you think you was close, or were you close because you manipulated the situation to make it seem like y'all was close sisters? And you're not stepping back and looking at the full story. You're looking at what I'm gaining out of this situation, which is still all about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you're saying,
I get the selfish angle. I do. I really do. I'm just saying, like, even when you look back, you can't go back and fix what it was. So you can't hold none of the blame to that
but you can't
for
go
childhood.
forward
For
and mess it
childhood.
up worse.
But okay, I'm in agreement with you, big picture. But this is your sibling, and because of how your parents weren't the best prepared for navigating this situation when you're in your youth, because I still try to give the parents a little bit of grace here, because there's no book, right? There's no rule
Right.
book for how do you conduct a family, and when one child has serious illnesses and the other child does not. And because when you have serious illness or disability in a family, it affects the whole family. Like, everybody is impacted by this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on one level, the family rallies around, it alters the family. Right? It's not the same that it would have been had there not been this situation. Like that, there's that piece of it. Then there's the other part, the person who is with the illness. So the person with the illness, you know, they want a sense of normalcy, but they know it's not a normal situation. So as a child, you want your loved one close and you act like a child would. You find where there's points of leverage and you lean on it. Every child does it. So I can't expect any different from a child with a serious illness. And I would expect it even more because now there's a power dynamic, because at the same time you're powerless, you also are empowered, right? Because everybody is catering to you, but at the same time you need them, so you're not independent either. So it's a weird balance.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really get that part, on them too much for that. And then all that stuff is happening, and the sister who didn't have any medical issues and was deprived of what a normal childhood gets the hell out of there, right? She go to college and get gone.
Mm-hmm.
That was her reaction to this situation. But that still doesn't change that your sister loves you and your sister doesn't fully understand all the things that you were experiencing, because they only could see it from their side. So now they want their sister back. And they try to do it the only way that a child can think to go do it, which was worse. Well, not worse, but it wasn't good. And so they pursued it that way. It's just like a whole series of misunderstandings and complications of human emotion. To me, I don't know. Boy, that was a lot of words. Sorry, y'all.
That's all right. Here is my statement. I get, as a child, you're gonna think as a child. You can't help it. You're inexperienced. Every day you're learning something brand new. But your sister up and disappeared. Basically, let's just call it that. She did up and disappeared. Changed the number, moved out of state. I mean, she was done with y'all. But having said that, she was done with y'all way before she went to college. So basically, she was at a point where she was just waiting to turn 18 to get the hell out of Dodge. I can get I will get the concept of saying, I found my sister. I found what college she went to. I just wanted to talk to her and find out what's wrong. What did I do wrong? Because if I'm going with what your route is, she may not know what went wrong. She wasn't brought up that way. I just want to talk to you so we can hash out what went wrong because I want my sister back in my life. I will flow with you on that concept. You joined the same college. You joined the same college. You didn't have to join the same college to get back with your sister. And that's where it just kind of feels like it goes from, I just want to talk to you, to I am going to now force you.
But that's all she does.
And that's my problem. Is I
but
get
I'm saying
at a certain point, you have to realize, and like I said, I'm not calling you an a-hole, because this is all you know. What I am calling you is selfish AF. And all you really gonna do is just keep pushing her away and pushing her away and pushing her away. I don't know what else.
I fully agree. No, I fully agree. The point I'm making, I'm not justifying any of it. I'm trying to explain it. Because people are trying to do the best they know how, even if what they know how is the wrong thing. So they appear to be operating without very good parental guidance. All right. And then from a child's mentality, who's going to college, you're 17, 18 years old. So their reasoning skills are like a 17, 18-year-old. I would even say it might be more suppressed than that because of their sheltered lives. So you may be chronologically 17 or 18, but your whole life has been not standard. So you might be really emotionally functioning like a 15-year-old. So the math just ain't good for them. And so sometimes this is hard lessons to learn. And we hopefully most of us have learned it before we get too old. But sometimes, despite your best efforts, you make things worse.
All right.
It's just the consequences of stuff.
Parents do better. That's all I can say.
I don't know. I can't really blame the parents too much.
No,
I mean,
I can. I can blame the parents. I really can. Because I cannot, I subconsciously, and just me, I cannot subconsciously force my one kid to be with the other kid. I can't do that. I don't care what the circumstances is. I would hope that it does happen. I may nudge it a little bit for it to happen, but I'm not going to force, hey, you know she's sick and she miss you, so get on in there. Yeah, I know you got a life outside and everything else, but too bad. You're going to have to put everything on hold for this one spouse. I've heard and read too many of these stories of your whole social circle. You got a sister who don't have one, and you need to be that social circle for her.
There's degrees to this.
Well, let me put it to you this. This is what I remember from the story. That she had a surgery at 15. The surgery went okay, but the side effects of the drugs was still making her loopy. for a whole year. So there we go.
Okay.
Another year down the drain because you need to be with your sister. I
Okay.
can see a couple of weeks and everything, but here's another year. And it's like another year of what? Are you saying another school year, or you're literally saying January to December? There's nothing but you and your sister. Because even she admitted if she got better, her sister didn't have anybody. She didn't even have any friends. No, duh. Of course, she didn't have any friends. When the hell could she go out? Oh, and by the way, parents, let me add this to the mix. Then you allowed her to have a social circle. The middle of her junior year in high school. So
okay.
we're good now? Because I can't remember the age. If anybody in the audience can remind me, when all of this started, what age did all of this start? Because it was adolescent, I want to think like 8 or 9 years old. So we're starting off as single-digit age for the sister. Moving on to 15 when she had the surgery. There goes another year. It's like
I don't remember what year.
I get what you're saying, Theus, but you have to, as
I don't think
parent,
you do.
You have to keep the balance of your children. You just cannot force one to be with the other one because one needs it the most. You just can't.
Okay, so
Jeez.
there's degrees. No, I'm just saying there's degrees to this.
Okay.
I agree with you as far as being to this point that you are so focused on the one child that you take your focus off the other child. That's wrong. That's a problem.
Yeah.
The sister was 4 years old. The sister was 4 years old.
But it sounds like a lot of what you were laying out is like this chronological process of like time in a bucket, right? Well, you put 9 years in this bucket, and then I'm going to sprinkle in 2 more years, and that's 11 out of 18 years. So there's only, that's not how humans function, though, right? So it's like you can't fix any of that. We agree that it was done wrong. Where I little bitty sticking point is if you do have a sister or a sibling that now, fortunately, I have not had to go through this. Okay, so but if you do have a sibling that has these serious issues, yeah, as a parent, I'm gonna make sure you interact with your sibling. I'm gonna make sure that you spend more time with your sibling than you may have normally done. It actually helps make you a better person. But as a parent, I also have to remember your life is every bit as important as her life. So we're going to make sure we have you in your activities. We're going to make sure that we show up at your school play. If the health situation is such that we both can't be there at the same time, we'll work out where one of us can be there when the other one can't. I'm with you that that's how good parenting should go, which apparently they didn't do this part right. And I'm loath to really go hard at the parents just because I've seen so many different types of parents and so many different types of family dynamics, and everybody's really just trying to figure it out. And it's much easier when you don't have to contend with these things, right? I mean, I couldn't imagine if I'm dealing with a situation where I have a quote unquote child. Well, I have a child with no disabilities, right? You got one child, no disabilities, living their life, and you got another child with cerebral palsy. So are you telling me I'm not going to make the child without disabilities spend an extra amount of time with their sibling? I will. I'm telling you right now, I will. You're going to spend more time with your sibling because you're the only outlet your sibling has. I just have to make sure as a parent, I'm not sacrificing your ability to be you. And that's where I think the parents screwed up with this.
And that's what I agree with. That's literally all I agree with. Is that I want so badly for my, and thank goodness my kids are to a fault. They get on my damn nerve being so damn close. But luckily that they are together. I just want to, and I guess now that I see what you're saying, I just want to make sure that you as an individual child of mine don't have to sacrifice who you are and the things that you want to be for another child. At the same time, balancing that, hey, I still want you to be close. And I want you to be an outlet for, and that's the best way to say it. And I want you to be the outlet for your child, for your sibling, because they don't have an outlet. They don't know what's going on in the outside world, not to the experience you have. And the reason why we have to make sure that you have experience is to allow you to get experience. You know, I can't sit there and say, go in there and play with your sister and tell her everything that's going on. And you go in there and go, hey, what's going on? Nothing. And be telling the truth. That's where I'm coming from. Is that it's a balance. Real or nah? Sorry, we got some comments out here. I finally got a group of friends my senior year in high school. They were all juniors. I'm still weird blend of introvert and extrovert, but I'm good. The rest of you just have to deal with it. Okay. Not knowing the situation, the parents could also push the older child into the sick one, shrinking some of their responsibilities. Yeah. I don't want to get into it. It's very rare that I say this about this story on Real or Nah. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that my answer is nah. This ain't real. F you. It can't happen. It's totally damn impossible. So
why it gotta be F you, dog? What we do?
I'm napping to whoever wrote this damn story. Y'all, whoever wrote this story. Here we go.
So I'm a 32-year-old man. Me and my girlfriend, who's 33, were out enjoying our annual anniversary vacation. This year, we decided to do some hiking through Appalachia and ended up in Red River Gorge, Kentucky. The scenery's amazing and the weather was great. I figured that I wasn't going to get a better opportunity to pop the question. Well, any gentleman knows better than to get down on one knee in the middle of the trail. You wait until you're at the highest peak. Unfortunately, nature called long before we got to that point. Now, every guy knows that the higher the ledge you pee off of, the more authority you have. So I found a pleasant little overlook, did my business, and carried on with my proposal in mind. Along the way, we passed a few other hikers, said our greeting, and kept moving towards the top. Once we reached the summit of that particular rock, she sat down, and I tried to mentally prepare myself to get things just right. So once I'd gotten myself psyched up, I put my hand into my pocket and palmed the ring, knelt down in front of her, and she said, "I see your wiener." Turns out I'd forgotten to zip myself back up, and the little flippy flaps of my boxer shorts failed to do their job. So there I am on one knee, trying to make this a memorable moment and failing successfully. After I flopped through the proposal, I realized that I may have flashed a few innocent hikers as well.
How old are these people? I see your wiener.
Old enough to get married.
I see your wiener. Ha ha.
Okay, let's make one thing perfectly clear. And I'll try to make this as least graphic as I possibly can. But if I go above graphic, oh well. I can understand you walking around with your zipper down. It happens. I've done it. Other people have done it. It is what that is, whatever. At no time in my entire 51 years on this planet have I walked around with my penis hanging out and I had absolutely no idea that it's out. That is, and I'm not even going to use the word near impossible. No, that is absolutely impossible. It is impossible for you to walk around with Mr. Willie just dangling all over everybody. Nobody said nothing. Your girlfriend apparently is so fixated on the trail, she didn't know it till you got down on your one knee.
That's when he came out.
Oh, that's when he came out when he kneeled. So what was the whole flash of people on the trail there?
That's him just talking noise.
As he was
This is what I think
kneeling.
happened. This is what I think happened. I think that he ain't working with much equipment. So what happened was the boxer shorts. See, they probably old, right? They're not new boxers, so the flat part ain't layered over itself like it's supposed to, because there's only a little bit of overlap, with the boxer shorts. But if you're not working with enough equipment, then you almost ready to come out of there anyway. So then, see, he's walking. Nobody's noticing because it just look like a normal person with fly out, right? But then when he knelt down, because he ain't gifted, it was just hello, and it just was sitting there staring at her, and that's when she said something.
What just makes that voice?
So I'm just saying, Wee Willie Winky made an appearance, but it was only because he was squatted down. If he had just stayed standing up, he would have been okay.
Or the story is bullshit and it wasn't true. Let's go with
what?
That one.
You telling me it's not possible for someone to go pee, forget to zip up their pants?
How many comments have we had? Hold on. He didn't feel a breeze.
He ain't got enough to feel a breeze.
He didn't feel nothing.
He ain't got enough to feel a breeze. Why y'all picking on that man having a short-term disability? Some people have a third arm. Some people have an 11th finger. You can't be picking on folks because of something that they didn't have any authority over. And hey, if she likes it, he loves it. They happy. I hope she said yes, and they go on to have many wonderful days and experiences. And lady, switch your man over to boxer briefs. And if that's still a problem for him, get him some tighty whities. It's just do something. Okay, he need more help.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, and legitimate quad, what have we learned from these past 2 days doing this show? Number one, we will never, ever, absolutely, under no circumstances, play anything that has anything to do about porn or people who's been in porn. Number two, we will have absolutely no more stories about willies of any kind. Why? Because of thieves.
Oh, because of me. You the one that put the video out there.
Oh,
man,
don't worry.
Winky was out there.
It will never, ever happen again. Trust me. I will never do it again. Even though I do kind of agree with you about porn and putting the word star at the end of it. Like, yeah.
Just saying. Respect the craft. They got award shows and everything.
Stop woman blaming. I had to teach my partner to sit properly in a kilt because he wore it in traditional manner. Man spreading is a bad idea there, and he doesn't recognize it. So yeah, it can happen. Nah, not for me. Come on, Marlon. This lonely old woman doesn't want more stories about. This lonely old woman does want more stories. No. And no more stories about porn stars.
Just discriminating on this poor man. This man suffered a minor setback and still overcame the difficulties of the situation and carried on with his proposal. I just want to know if she said yes. He didn't say she said no, so I'm assuming that she said yes. And I am saying congratulations to the lovely couple. Because I'm considerate.
Foxy's videos of the freaking week. All right.
I can't do negative today. Positive vibes.
That baby's so adorable.
Thank you.
I'm doing that foreshadowing, not only because of what Anna was doing. I'm doing it because of the next story. So it's been said on this show many times. This is more in your wheelhouse. You have been you have talked about this subject more than all of us put together, and I haven't disagreed on absolutely anything that you said about the atrocities of America and how it affects all of America simply because they're targeting Black Americans. They're willing to throw all Americans under the bus simply because they're targeting Black America. This right here is an example of what Thiz was talking about, what we have discussed on this show many other times.
White people, watch this video, and I'll be right back.
He published a book called Race, Tendencies, and Traits of the American Negro, in which he lays out all the numbers, and then he concludes that if we simply avoided allowing Black people to have any access to health care, that within 2 or 3 generations, the whole race would die out, and that would solve the race problem in America. When Teddy Roosevelt, 1912, proposed a national health care system, people said no because Black people will get it. When Franklin Roosevelt proposed a national health care system, it was the same thing. We don't want Black people to get it. When Truman tried it in 1947, same thing. Don't want Black people to get it. We have to figure out a way to keep Black people from using Medicare. And the way that they came up with was to have a 20% hole, a gap in Medicare, so that you had to pay 20% of your doctor's bill and your hospital bill, and that would discourage poor Black people from showing up at the hospitals. Nearly 100% of the reason why the United States is the only country in the world that doesn't define healthcare as a right is because of racism. He published a book called Race, Tendencies, and Traits of the American Negro.
How many times do I have to say this? Racism is a detriment to you white folks, poor white folks especially. Because of racism, you poor white folks can't even get good health care because they thought if they could deny health care to Black people that we would have been eradicated a long time ago. But hey, we still here and they have not changed the rules. How crazy is that? Even with Social Security, you have to pay 20% because of racism. We keep telling you, BIPOC keep telling you, Black people keep telling you, it is not us that makes your life suck. It is those racist politicians and their racist legislation that they think that's going to harm us, but harms you at the same time. And they don't care if it harms you. They don't give a shit. And then you continue to vote against your own interest. All because a bunch of rich white people told y'all to hate black people because black people are doing stuff to you as a whole. And we're not, because we don't control shit. We don't control the healthcare system. We don't control Social Security. We don't control your wages. We don't control shit. But they continue to tell you that it's us. So you turn your focus on us and harass the shit out of us for no fucking reason, when we have no power to affect your life as a whole community. Pay attention.
She says so much shit. I don't know how to even double dutch with that. So she made some good points and interspersed it with some weird reasoning, like correlation and causation argument. It was just what she said overall. Yes, okay, America, the reason why you don't have universal health care is because of racism. Reason why Social Security has all them damn rules because of racism. Reason why we got the wage gaps and all that shit, sexism and racism. Like, it's true. The color line is a problem with America because America's real issue is, yes, they got problems with black folks, but that's because we're the easiest ones to identify. But it's really about, it's really about otherism. See what I'm saying? If you could put it out there, well, only, you got to do it in a nicer way than what I'm about to say. Only white people will have access to universal health care. We had that shit tomorrow. The problem is not what do I get. The problem that white America suffers from is what is somebody else going to get. Right? That's why means testing keeps coming up in everything. Because it's not about what I get. It's about what you get. How much are they going to get? How close are you going to let them be to me as far as my status? So, hate to break this. This is where me and the young ladies kind of come apart. Hate to break this to y'all black folk. It ain't all about us. See, we are the canary in the coal mine. We are the ones that were enslaved. So we have the clearest story that everybody can grasp a hold of, because the opposite of white is black. So it's real easy to focus on us because you had us in a subjugated position. We demanded that we were treated with humanity. You had us in an enslaved situation. You had to set us free. You went to war, all this other bullshit, right? It's a clear line that people can follow and create their own narratives with. But they treat Latinos just as bad unless you're passing. They treat the Native Americans. Man, look, black folk, hear me clear. Our relative positioning in America continues to slide because as a percentage of the population, we remain stagnant. All right, we are locked in between 13 and 15% of the population. We were once the largest minority group in America. We are now the third largest minority group in America. We are behind the Latinos and behind the Asians. As we move further down the line, we lose political power. We lose leverage. If we want to achieve anything at this point, we must band first with each other so we can have a clear idea of what we're trying to do and partner with others so you have the numbers to try to make it happen. We can't do it by ourselves no more. That ship done fucking sailed. But what she was saying, like I said, overarching, I'm with her. I just have a problem with some of the correlation pieces that she was using. But she's right. People need to wake up, man. But we as a whole, been telling poor white folks this shit for 400 years. It's not that they don't know. It's called cognitive dissonance. last point I'm making it, just to kind of draw this thing together so you don't all think it's backwards towards racism, back towards like slavery. Unionization. If y'all remember, this is like a really big talking point about a year ago where everybody was like really on board with unions and all that stuff. And I was the naysayer saying, yes, unions are good, but y'all need to pay attention to the history of unions as well. When it was time for desegregation, they formed unions to expressly omit us so that poor white people would continue to be able to look at a black craftsman and still be able to look down on that person because we weren't allowed to be in the damn union. So we didn't have wage protection, health protection, and all those things. America is about otherizing other people, and we have to decide how we can work together. But I personally, I'm at the point I don't know how we're gonna do that shit. Not as a big thing. Small things we can do, but I don't know about the big thing now.
Anna?
I don't have a whole lot to add.
I don't have a whole lot to add to it. We discussed this on this show damn near into exhaustion. But apparently we're going to have to keep talking about it. This keeps coming up. You keep blaming us for shit we don't have any control over.
But you know what's funny about that though, and it's hard for this is like trying to grasp lightning or a greasy fish. It's elusive.
Greasy fish?
A slippery fish. I don't know. Oh hell, I don't know. Hey, we just jacking up all the analogies today, okay? It's like trying to shave an eel. I don't know, man. Look. So I'm just saying, you know.
Swim away.
But this has become so common in language that we always say they. And like, who is they? And it's, I don't know. Like I said, this is hard. I can't quite even hold on to it to make the point very well. But it's like they continue to be mad at us when we're not the problem. And then the question becomes, who is they?
Who is they?
And who is us? Because just from the us standpoint, there's so many ideologies and thought processes in the black community, you don't know who the us is, you know? And then on the other side, who is they? Because the reality is over 60% of America, regardless of color, ain't got two nickels to rub together.
Yeah.
So who the hell are they? You know, and then we could say, well, it's the ones who vote against their own interests. Is that the way it said? Voting against your own interests,
something
right?
like that. Yeah.
But because of this twisted system, we all vote against our best interest, because we vote for representatives. We do not vote for representation.
Right.
So we send people out there, and then the moment they get elected and get into office, they forget about the people who sent them. So it's not even really us versus each other. We really are not up against each other for the most part. We are set upon each other.
Mm-hmm.
While the elected class and the true wealth class manipulate the system on economic and political terms. And then as they do it, they look out at the rest of us and they say, well, look, there's not that many of us, guys. We can't let them truly see or focus on what we're doing here. Like, we're extracting massive wealth for our families and our friends. We're making 10,000 people obscenely wealthy, but we're making 349 million people slowly and steadily poorer and poorer. So what we need to do is make sure that the black people are still mad about racism, and the white people are scared about not being in power no more, and the white, there's going to be a lot about the white folks, and then the white people are scared about the Latinos changing the color of the country, and the white folks are scared about the Asian people getting into the universities, but all they're really trying to do is keep everybody so freaked out and scared that we just mad at each other for everything except what's real, right? I don't know. It's weird, man. That's why I don't know. I don't hold out much hope, but I still try to do what I can. I don't know. It's weird.
And of all the minorities that we have in this country, there is one minority group that should be the most afraid of our future, of their future. And apparently it must be the eels who are going to be apparently shaved.
There's an international eel grease shortage.
Why the hell would you know that? Why would you know?
Y'all just not paying attention. Because if y'all paying attention, you would know that there's an international eel grease shortage because the frogs have begun biting the ducks. And once the frogs start biting the ducks, you know that there's a grease shortage for the eels. Just let you know that.
And I declare I would take them down if it wasn't for this next story. But this is a story that I held last night. Again, this is a story that Diaz has pointed to about happiness in marriage. But I'm not going to give a big, long introduction. We're good on time, so let's stay on point here.
And this guy hit on me, right? So he said, "Hey, you married?" And I was like, "Yes." And he said, "You happy?" And I was like, "No, and." And the reason why I said no was because, one, I'm brutally honest, and two, I was not happy at the time. But what does me being unhappy have to do with whether or not you have a shot? Here's the thing I realized. A lot of married people don't know how to be unhappily married and still not walk away. If you could learn how to be unhappy for a minute, your marriage will last. Because the goal in marriage is not happiness. The goal is to build a lasting relationship that withstands the ebbs and flows of marriage, of relationships.
DeMarco, we need another one. Where's the applause? Someone finally said it. No one gives a damn about your happiness. It's about making it work.
See, once again. Look.
You and Foxy have taken two different things. So let me go first on this because I took it the wrong way. I took it the way of you're not always going to be happy in a marriage. That there are going to be some bad times that it is a lot easier. And maybe for the sake of me, maybe I'm biased because I hear too many Reddit stories where there's a situation, there's an issue, and instead of working it out, somebody always comment, no contact, I'll get a divorce, I'm out of there. And it's like, or you could work some shit out because you're in a marriage. It is a lot easier to just work it out instead of always ditching and going somewhere. Now, that's how I took the message. That you're not always going to be happy-go-lucky. It's a beautiful world, kumbaya type of thing all the way until one of y'all die. That marriage is you have to work for everything in a marriage. Now, that's how I took it. Apparently, I must have heard wrong because Foxy over here going bullshit, and now Tiz is finna come in here and say something. So I must have heard something wrong. I don't know.
Nah, she was almost there, and I'm with her on most of it. But here's the thing, though, man. It's just the way she put it, though, man. Look, first of all, y'all done heard me say before, it is not my job to make you happy. It is not. That is too much to ask for any person to do, is to make you happy. It is my job to create an environment in which you can be happy. It is my job to try to anticipate your needs, to learn from your triggers and your concerns, and try to continue constantly to build an environment for you to function in. And you owe me the same thing. That's what we owe each other. That's what we do when we say we love each other, right? Now, in that process, sometimes you're not going to be happy. Sometimes you're going to damn near hate the other person's guts. But like an old couple told me one time, marriage is cyclical. There are great periods, terrible periods, and some meh periods. Most of it's going to be meh, right? Because happiness is an emotion. It's a temporary state of being. Like you can't be happy and never be sad. Like you would never recognize which one you're in if that's what was going on, right? You probably high, but
wow,
it's a complicated thing. It's a give and a take. It's a yin and a yang. There's got to be a part of you that loves service, right? There's got to be that part of you that chose this other person to be in your life because even when they make you mad, you can't help but care for them. And when you see them happy, you want to see them even happier, right? That's what marriage, a lot of marriage, I think, should do. But what she was saying, I guess what part got me is some dude stepped to you and said, "Is you happy?" And your answer was no. First of all, that's you giving the other dude time. What the fuck you doing that for? Right? Unless you're interested in at least being entertained for a minute. It don't mean you want to cheat. It don't mean you want to leave. But you are willing to entertain this knucklehead because you mad at me. Should I do that? I seriously doubt your answer would be yes. Right? Should have blown his ass off. Yeah, I'm happy. Well, why are you asking me? Or that's really personal, don't you think? Right? Something. But anyway, that's nitpicking. You have the relationships ups and downs, blah, blah, blah. Like Marlon said, you know what I'm saying? But that's where I was getting at, man. And you were saying, there are some things you do have to work through. And there are some things that are called red lines.
Yep. I agree with that.
And once somebody hits your red line, I am a fan and a proponent for don't think about it. Don't try to figure it out. Make all these decisions ahead of time. If this happens, I do that. So that when it happens, all you got to do is act on that decision you've already made. Hit my red line, and the decision's already made. So there are cases for divorce. I'm just saying. And they ain't got to be like crazy extreme. It ain't got to be somebody hit somebody. Whatever your red line is, hold to it.
Okay, this is what Foxy said. She said the goal in marriage is longevity and building a long-lasting relationship. However, in my opinion, if you're not happy, if I'm not happy, ain't nobody happy, period.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it is kind of fucked up there. That's
you know, I only hear that from women. Yeah, I said it.
Okay. Here we go.
What about the whole happy wife, happy life?
I get that, but let's make some yeah, that's some bullshit statement right there. Because here is the deal, and it is a discussion that has to be done. You can be happy, but just because you happy, do not mean this is a happy marriage.
Facts.
Let me say that again for the people in the back. Just because you happy, and I didn't put a sex on it. I didn't say male or female or anything like that. Just because you happy don't mean you in a happy marriage. That means you as an individual is happy. How long you think that's going to last?
Yeah. I ask people, if you look at your relationship, do you make the other person's life easier for you being in it? right? Because see, what sometimes can happen, especially when the balance gets out of whack. There's a giver and then there's a taker, and see, the taker could be very happy. The taker, when he comes home, there's food on the table. When she don't give him no back talk, she just leave him alone. When he come home, he get 2 hours to himself, do whatever he want, whatever. She keep the house running, keep the bills paid, and she going to work and doing the whole 9 to 2. And in his world, it's wonderful, right? But what's her life like? She doing all this stuff to make your life easier. What's you doing to make her life easier? You paying bills? Hell, she got a job. She paying bills too. So it's got to be where each person, in my opinion, and this does go through cycles, like I said, but each person in that relationship needs to be obsessed with taking care of the other person. When things start breaking down is when I'm obsessed with taking care of you. You show me you're not obsessed with taking care of me. So now I got to be obsessed with taking care of me too. And now you got problems. Now the clock is running. Because it ain't but so long before I can realize, wait a minute, I'm the one always trying to make sure that you're good and you got what you need and you feeling good. And if you sick, I'm right there with you and la. But then when I'm sick, you ain't got nothing you can do for me. If I lose my job, I lose my wife. Right? I lose money and I ain't got no value. You're right. People got to be like, look, man, I'm all in. I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry about you. And then in exchange, though, you take care of me. I won't worry about me, and then we're good. But once that trust break down, man, that's a rough ride.
Yeah. Look, all I'm saying is this. Well,
Eel grease. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
$1.99.
Yeah. All right, last video of the night.
I'm sorry, Marlon. Go ahead. See what you gonna say, brother. I'm sorry.
No, because I already said what I had to say. I'm sick and tired. Happy wife, happy life. No, happy wife and her life is happy. That don't mean you have a happy. Excuse me. That don't mean the whole situation is happy.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying to get on women. I'm just saying, and vice versa. If your woman is going out there and doing a whole bunch of stuff, and your man is sitting down on his ass, and by the way, for some of the men that go, I bring money to the house, I put a roof over your head, I put clothes on your back, I put food in the cat. Tell me what you've done for this household that you don't benefit from too. One, I put a roof over your head. Do you still not go under that same roof? I put food on the table. Do you not eat at that same table? I put clothes on your back. You go to work naked? So stop that BS. Same thing when I be hearing these stories about parents who want kids to pay them back for raising them and everything. Fuck it, that's your job. You had them. That was your job to do. You were supposed to do everything that you want them to pay you back for. That was your job to do. You don't get paid back for it. Full disclosure, you don't. So it's a lot of things that I hate to be mixing it up and everything. It's a lot of things. And Tracy already talked about she got a bonnet on her head is going, even though it ain't even 10:30 yet. We're like literally way ahead of schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and move on because I don't want to get into a preachy mood. Let's go ahead and just.
Well, did Anna have something she wanted to say on the subject?
No.
Okay.
Is that to fool each other cup but drink from your own philosophy? Kinda. I mean, it really is.
What happened?
Is that to fill each other's cup, but you drink from your own philosophy?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I gotta think.
But that makes sense, though. That makes sense because I had to think it all the way through. So
I am not being argumentative. I am not being argumentative.
But thank you, Susan. I like that analogy. I like that because I can only drink from my cup, but the only way I can have anything in my cup is if you're pouring into it. So I appreciate that. I like that. I like that. See, Marlon got in trouble.
Mm.
Let me go ahead and put this last video on. About to have a conversation real quick. So talk to you.
He in trouble.
So talk to you, buddy. Buddy, I'm talking to you.
Me?
Buddy. I don't have any buddies in this room, though. I don't have any buddies.
Oh.
I don't. I have a lovely wife. That's slowly becoming I have a wife. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to this last video real quick. Y'all have been asking for this for years. For years, you've been asking to see this event. NASA has tried, the Russians have tried, the United States have been trying for years to put this event in order, and it just could not be done. But finally, the event is here. We finally get to see it in action. We have it on video now. And just to make it perfectly clear, this hasn't been edited. It hasn't been altered in any kind of way whatsoever. We finally got to the event that we all been waiting for.
Hey, if anybody wanted to know what it looked like when a grown man wrapped a baseball bat with a Bible and then beat a Barbie house up looked like, check out this pastor.
The Bible. You gotta start tearing that mess up.
It had to be him. Oh, it had to be him. Okay.
Of course it had to be him.
Oh, that's the guy.
Yeah.
That's the same nut job in Tennessee. That's the guy.
Yep.
This man just desecrated the Bible.
Yep.
On stage.
Yep.
At what point do people like, they be like, oh, yeah. Whoa. Baby, get your purse. It's time to go. It's right. Is it a certain point? I mean, at what point do you realize that this has taken a turn? Like, I grew up, you don't even put nothing on the Bible, okay?
Absolutely.
The Bible goes on things. Things don't go on the Bible. That's burned into my brain. The Bible goes on things. Things don't go on the Bible.
You don't understand.
And this man is beating up Legos.
There was a time where the Bible was, and correct me if I'm wrong, this, but if we go back as far as we can, it was damn near, at least they act like it was government documentation. Because they used to have a Bible where it had the generation after generation after generations.
Well, the family Bible. We still got that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
priceless in genealogy work. Yeah.
So you thought it was a good idea. First of all, let's go back a little bit so we can get on out of here. You're pissed off because you tried to talk BS about the Barbie movie. You thought it was going to be a flop because it was woke. That's your only word to, categorize everything. Woke is broke. Go woke, go broke. That was your thing. Barbie hit $1 billion in sales, and now that logic just went out the window. So now that it didn't go broke, now it's demonic to the point where you would disrespect the Bible, go buy a Barbie house, and smash it with the Bible bat. The Bible bat.
Which gives more money to Barbie.
So, yeah. I don't know what your point was, but I can speculate what your point was. And honestly, dude, because you're the same idiot that came up with all those other stupid points, I'm going to put you in the category of this was a stupid point too, but you didn't care because all you wanted was the cheers in your tent.
This is the dude with the witches and the book burning and
No, this was the dude
same guy.
This is the
The
same
COVID
dude.
man.
Yeah, this was the same dude that I know there's witches in here and you can get out. No, you have no idea who the hell is in here. If I see you with a mask on, you're out of here. You knew damn well nobody was coming in here with a mask on. Otherwise, you would have said something. I know there's blah, 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 blah. I don't.
That's just one.
Good.
That's one weirdo. He's got a crew of weirdos. All right, so there's a couple of these Southern evangelist preachers, but it's still a small segment that's that loony. Now, there's a huge preponderance that sits right behind them that aren't this loony, and they every bit as dangerous. But he at least is letting you see that he's out there. But yeah, I don't know. You can't go. Even if, like, he claims to be a believer, even if you're not a believer, you do not disrespect someone's holy text like that. That is just wrong. And I'm his whole congregation. I'm like, that says a lot about them. That he felt that would be a good display to show.
I am back, and we're going to go on ahead and shut it down. Let me go on ahead and turn the music on so we can get on out of here, because Tracy has something that she wants to say real quick. So I'm tired of that song. Tracy said, hey, everybody, not to advertise my own platform, but this Wednesday at 7 p.m., I'm doing a podcast response to the RNC debate. It should be good laughs for all. Should be something. I don't know about the laugh, but I'm not even trying to be funny when I say that. I don't even know if I would even look at it and laugh at it so much, because at this point in time, I really just think they ain't gonna say nothing that we ain't already heard before. And okay, yeah, well, yeah, Trump, yeah, border, yeah, fighting, yeah.
Everybody gonna tune in so they can see Chris Christie. They just want to see what Chris is gonna say. That's all this is. People want to see what he's gonna say. He's gonna put on a show, and I can't lie. I'm a little curious what Chris gonna say. But I mean, I can catch it on YouTube snippets after the fact. But yeah, I think that's the big draw.
Thea, tell everybody where they can find you.
Man, y'all can't find me, man. Y'all can't find me. I'm in the sky. I'm in the atmosphere. But yeah, you can find me on Saturday Night Vibes. You know, Radical Truth Power though. Find me out there.
Anna?
GuerrillaExceptions.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, and of course,
I'm assuming you're LGBTQ until you come.
That is our show for tonight. I appreciate Theas. I appreciate Anna. As y'all bow out, please do not forget to hit that like button. I truly appreciate it. Anybody that's watching the replay, please do not forget to hit that like button and comment. And until next time, we will see you when we see you.
See, y'all sleeping on them eels, man. That's a very important part of our gross domestic product, you see.